Fire for your mind. The Kosher Clinician.
Don't call my show talking about what was the question. I just
JR was
did you
really
watch
nice.
the show? Nah, I didn't watch the show, but I just
that was the second one.
You got, get your ass off this goddamn show. What's wrong with you? JR, he's nice though. So,
he's nice, yeah.
Well,
shout out to Elim.
Kosher, what's going on, brother? Welcome to
Well,
the show.
My man.
No doubt. My man Shannon, how you guys doing, man? I decided to pop in, man.
Right.
I was busy talking to a client, but I said I want to drop some fire for your mind. And I'll say this, I know what the topic is, and I did a show called The Prize Catcher. A woman is a prize in her head. She's the prize in her head. But until that man make her his prize, then she's only the prize in her head. Men set the parameters for relationships. Men set the parameters. But see, here's the problem. In olden times, it was what's called a buyer's market, a buyer's market or a seller's market. I'm getting confused, but more or less, the woman was willing to sell a man or render unto that man something of worth in order to get the ring. But the man being the prize catcher, and that's a term I created called the prize catcher, he determines if she's a prize. She can be a prize in her head, but until that man deem her to be his prize, she's just a prize in her head. Because watch this, she can be a one, and if that man is a one, if that man choose not to marry her, she won't get married. If JR is a 10, but a woman that's a 10 want JR, if JR say, well, you don't meet my standards, she can't marry JR until she continued to go do this circuitous method of finding another man like JR. Men have more power than they realize, but they more or less have been conditioned to think they're less, and therefore they don't demand anything. Back in the past, your great-grandmom knew that in order to get a good man, she had to render to a man a level of virtue in order to get that man. But so many men have been paralyzed mentally through negative social conditioning. They think they're less. They tolerate mediocrity. And so I say she's a prize if she meets the parameters of being a prize by the prize catcher, but just by default, no, she's not the prize. Men determine if she's the prize, not her by default.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important for men to be on their purpose and on their shit, because when you come into play with a woman that's on her shit, she's gonna put you in this little small ass little box. You're gonna find yourself trying to keep up with her, when in reality you should have been on your shit in the beginning. You know, had to worry about. Confidence is everything, and if you're not on your shit and a woman is, then again, you're gonna go right back into that little box. So men, get on your shit, man. Get on your purpose, figure it out. Everything. There's a bunch of blueprints that's already out there. A lot of them are similar. Just attach yourself to the right circle, the right mindset, and everything. You ain't got to worry about that. You'll have options. So you're not going to be trying to come into that woman's program. You're going to be able to create your own program, and she's going to have to come into your shit. That enables you to be the prize. And if you want to make her the prize later on, once you vet her properly and figure out that she brings more value to your life, then you have that option. But if you don't have your shit together, then you have less options. Basically no options. So
yeah, go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead.
And so in the buyer's market in the past, you look at your great-grandfather, you got Nigerian roots, so do I. My DNA ancestry, I'm about 40% Nigerian, according to Ancestry DNA. But women of the past knew that they had to bring some redeeming value to the relationship in order to get a man. It was a buyer's market. My man, the Ingram Experience, talked about relationship capitalism. And basically what relationship capitalism posits is this. If you don't come into that man's life without a modicum of virtue, then you're not going to get the ring. The ring was synonymous to power for many women of the past. But sadly, some of our women, shout out to the good sisters, because there are some good sisters that are listening, but sadly, so many of our women feel just because, they have a vagina, then that's enough, and that's not enough. Men need more than sex in order to be calibrated to become the best versions of themselves as men. But because so many men have been conditioned to see themselves less, because we live in a very gynocentric culture, they have been saboteurs, JR, of their own ignorance. So what I challenge men to do is start doing the internalization, do the shallow work, focus on themselves. If they find their hidden gem here in America, then so be it. Get your gem here. But if you feel like that your worth is so high that you can't get your gem here in America, then you travel abroad until you get your gem. And so I tell men to do what's best for you. Because at the end of the day, because we live in a very gynocentric culture, if things don't fall through because of no-fault divorce, you say, well, I don't love you anymore. Guess what? Now you're broken. You got to start all back over again. And so I tell the men to do what's best for you. If she's willing to meet your expectations as a man after proper vetting, then make her earn the ring. Women want men that they can look up to. It's in a woman's nature to look up to masculine men. But if you give your virtue away, which is your ring, for free, then she's not going to respect you because it was not anything worthy of great cause. And so many men, JR, talk about, setting a woman in a place so she can rest in her femininity. But that's a myth. How many men that had women that was, rich, they were icons, they put a woman in a nice position, and she still divorced them. So I don't necessarily believe that, if you put a woman in a proper position, she can rest in her femininity to be a good woman.
Who say that, Kosher? Men or women?
No, I've heard some men say that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I heard some men say that, if you create an environment, she can rest in her femininity. And I would say that's a myth. That's a myth because there are women that have less and they still willing to serve their men from other countries. They're from third world countries. They have nowhere, they don't have as much as women here in America have, but they're willing to serve their men because they love the men and they respect them because they were conditioned under masculine authority, which is the patriarchy. I've said before in the past, JR, that men are the arbiters of chivalry. Men created chivalry. So if a woman wants a traditional man, what is she willing to render to that man to come into his life? Because he's the prize catcher. He determines if she's worthy of being the prize. And then therefore, if he makes her his prize, she can call him her catch. But the man is the prize catcher. But so many men give their power away because they see themselves as less. And we got to break that negative schema for men in order for men to get the best outcomes that are viable for them long-term mentally. Because if you get in a very toxic marriage, it can be very deleterious to your mental health as a man.
My man.
But drop the mic. He pulled a Ricky Williams on us, didn't he?
That was Ricky Williams.
Well said.
Yeah, appreciate that, Kosher. How you been, brother?
Man, just grinding, man. Been on the grind, man. Me and Shannon had a good. Shannon was on my show the other day. We did a good job talking about the fairy princess, and it was a good show, man. Just trying to encourage and inspire the brotherhood, man, because that's what it's all about. I believe in male empowerment. I believe we should empower men to get the best outcomes that they can get, because a lot of times, like Michael Jackson said, they don't really care about us, and so I believe in empowering men so that men can get the best outcomes that are viable for them long term, either be in the business world or also in relationships. That's what I believe.
Okay. Well, shout out to you, Kosher. Make sure you guys go give Kosher a follow over there on this channel, doing great things.
No doubt,
Appreciate you, brother.
No doubt. Shout out, brothers. Much love and blessings. Be good.
All right.
My man.